freshman at UNC Chapel Hill overdosed on fentanyl on the Duke University campus earlier this year. 19-year-old Grace Burton wasn't the only UNC student who lost their life to a drug overdose that weekend. As WRAL investigative reporter Sarah Kruger reports, federal agents say the same person supplied the drugs.
Court documents reveal details of the early morning hours of March 9th outside the Kilgo Residence Hall on Duke's campus. Federal court filings say UNC freshman and Charlotte native Grace Burton called Kai Frazier, known as the Barber, to buy cocaine after a party. And that video shows a vehicle Frazier was known to drive pulling up outside the Duke dorm around 4:30 that morning, where Burton was hanging out with Duke student Patrick Rowland. About an hour later, federal investigators say Rowland called Frazier back, saying that Burton was wobbly on her feet and unsteady. Video from inside the dorm shows Frazier carrying Burton up the stairway to a room where paramedics responded just before 6:30 that morning. 2 days later, Grace Burton died in the hospital, surrounded by family and friends, according to her obituary. No one has been charged directly in her death, but both Frazier and Rowland face federal charges for drug distribution. Charlotte Craman is the Duke student journalist who investigated and broke the story in the digital magazine The Assembly.
Yeah, so fraternities and sororities on college campuses, especially UNC and Duke, it is very commonplace, and people are just surrounded by cocaine use and obviously alcohol use all the time.
Federal court filings show that Frazier is connected to another person's death from fentanyl just 1 day after Burton overdosed. Craman was able to identify that person as Joshua Zinner, a former UNC Wilmington student living in Raleigh. Craman, a senior at Duke who interned at the LA Times this summer, thinks it's important for this information to come to light.
So Duke said that they didn't say anything because it was a UNC student, and so it was UNC's prerogative to say something. And then UNC said that they didn't say anything because the family wanted to keep it private. It's so important for people to know these things, especially when it is happening so close to us.
Our Sarah Kruger reporting there. And according to a presentation made to the UNC Board of Trustees, Burton is one of 4 UNC students who are alums who have recently died from fentanyl poisoning over the past 20 months. This is a story we will, of course, continue to follow. Look for updates on WRAL.com.
North Carolina has its first cases of